Hey everyone, I hope you're doing great today. I have a really fun art project for us to do. Today we are talking about the African savanna and the animals that live there. So before you do your art project, make sure you go and watch the video that I sent that's in our Facebook page and on YouTube about the African savanna. So you can find out what is a savanna and what animals live there. Okay, so once you know that, your art project will make a lot more sense. So we are going to do a sunset picture, and we're going to use one of my favorite art techniques called watercolor resist, and I'm going to show you what that means. All right, so in African savanna there is mostly grass and some shorter trees and bushes, but not a lot of mountains. The African savanna is very flat. So we are going to do our painting with that type of vegetation and that type of grass and trees. And because we're doing a sunset, that means that everything in the front of our picture is going to be very dark because the sun is behind us. And that's called a silhouette or shadow. So let me show you how we're going to do our African savanna sunset picture. First you're going to do is you're going to get your kit that says African savanna on it, and if you didn't get the kit, you want to make sure you have a piece of watercolor paper or very heavy paper, because this is really wet what we're going to be doing today. A couple of things you're going to need out of your kit, or you're going to need for this project. You're going to need your paint, which came in these little containers. Now, if your paint spilled, don't worry about that. Everyone should have some food coloring at home, and that will work just as well. These are watercolor, liquid watercolors, and they have really intense dark colors, so that's why I like to use them. But we are actually going to add a little water to these because they're almost too dark like this when you first get them. Couple things you need to know about liquid watercolors. They do stain your hands, just like the food coloring might. So just keep that in mind. They might also stain your table, so make sure again your table is covered and protected. But you're going to need your paper, your liquid watercolors, or water with food coloring, that will work too. And you're going to be needing your brush, your sponge brush, or a big paintbrush works fine. Okay, so I've got my little sponge brush here. We've got our glue stick because we're going to be gluing down some animals. And my kit has, oh, it's got the elephant. See my elephant here? And my kit happens to have a giraffe. Now, if you don't have the kit, again, you can draw these animals with an oil pastel or a black crayon. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you got the kit, it comes with the animals. So I'm going to set those aside because that's the last thing we do. The other thing that we need are some sunset color crayons. I've got yellow and orange, and a black oil pastel. Again, if you don't have an oil pastel, a black crayon will work also. All right, so to get started on our African savanna picture, I'm going to actually put a little water in my paint because, like I said, this is just a little bit dark, so I want to make these a little less intense. There we go. So we've got just a little bit of paint in each one. And the first thing I want you to do is get either yellow or the orange, but I want you to make the sun, which is the shape of a circle, in the middle of your paper. So right about here. Okay, so I'm going to do my sun here. You can make a big sun or a small sun, and it's kind of hard to see. And then what you're going to do is you want to color your sun in solid. You can use, again, either the orange or the yellow, but you want to press really, really hard when you do this. Because if you press too light, the watercolor resist doesn't work quite as well. Because here's what's going to happen. Our oil pastel and our crayon are made of wax, or in the case of the oil pastel, it has an oil base. And when you put watercolors, paint that has water or is water based, over anything that's oil, they don't mix. It's almost like the little mini ocean we did yesterday. We put the water and the oil in it, and they mix them up, and then they separate. So this is kind of the same, because this is wax or oil based, and my paint is water based. So once you get your sun on there, and you can kind of, I think I want to put a little orange around my sun. You can get creative with that. Again, press really hard. If your crayon breaks, that's okay. Don't worry about that. But you want to press really hard, okay? So it's nice and solid. After you have your sun, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our black oil pastel. Now, let me warn you about oil pastels. They're a little messy. When you touch them on your hands, the wax comes off and your hands will get probably a little black, and that's okay. And I'm going to do just grass. See, it broke already because I'm pressing so hard. I'm just going to use this little one. So we're going to do grass on the bottom. This is where the animals might live. You can kind of scribble this. You can have it going up. You can do trees if you want in your African savanna. Whatever you think might be in the African savanna where your animals are going to be. I'm going to do some trees. And again, you want to press really hard with this, okay? Because we're going to be painting over it. And if you press really hard, it will be a lot more, the coverage will be better. It won't cover up the crayon or the oil pastel. My friend James did this with me earlier, and he actually drew a jaguar in his picture. So you can draw animals in the bottom part there if you want. But basically, you're going to do the grasslands. If you want to put trees in it, you want to put animals in it, however you want to do it. But just keep the sky empty. You don't want to put any of your black up in the sky, okay? Because we're going to paint that part. But go ahead and put what you want down here. Take your time with that. Miss Debbie did it really fast. But you guys can do it. Take your time and put any details you want. But once you get that done, excuse me, the next thing you're going to do is we're going to use our paint. And the goal is to cover all the white on our picture. And you don't have to worry about washing your paintbrush or your sponge brush between colors, because these are all warm colors, and when you mix the warm colors, they actually mix pretty well. They'll make other warm colors. So if we have our red and our yellow, we mix them, we actually end up making orange. So it's okay if they mix. It actually makes it kind of prettier. So go ahead and dip this in and go all the way across. Go across your sun, go right over top of it. Don't be afraid to paint over it. It's okay, because something really cool is going to happen. Let me show you. So right there you can see it's not covering up any place that I had the crayon or the oil pastel. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to dip it in the red too. Ooh, I like the red. But your goal is to cover all the white on your picture. You don't want to have any white left when you're done, okay? And you can mix the colors however you want. Even go to the bottom. Cover the whole thing, all right? And when you're done and all your white is covered, I think I want to put a little more yellow in that. I like mixing my colors. This is what we have. This is our sunset. Okay, so there's our sunset. There's my grass and my trees. It's a little drippy because I'm holding it up. Now, after you get that part done, where everything is covered, you're going to want to let it sit and be completely dry before, put my hands off, before you put your animals on it, because they won't stick on here while it's wet. I'm going to kind of lay mine on and kind of let you see, but I've got my animals here, my giraffe, my elephant, and I'm going to put them on here. Now, when this is dry, I will take my glue stick and I'll stick it down. Let me see if it'll stay so you can kind of see how it looks now. There's my animals, all right? So, when it's dry, glue your animals down. And you know what's kind of interesting? It's almost hard to see the elephant because he's in the grasslands. And it's kind of how the animals are there. They hide in the grass because the predators, which are the carnivores, are going to look for them because that's going to be their snack. So it's nice that they have these tall grasses that they can hide in to protect themselves from the predators. So that is our sunset picture of the African savanna. Now, Miss Debbie did this really fast. You guys take your time. Go ahead and color your sun, do your beautiful sunset, get your grasses and your trees going, and I want to see how your African Savanna picture came out when you're done. And so that is all we have for today, but I can't wait to see your pictures, and I will see you real soon. Bye, friends.